Indelible marks have been made on the music business by the renowned performances and immortal melodies of Elton John. His legendary career has been a wild ride filled with chart-topping tunes, personal struggles, and profoundly moving moments. His intimate connection with Princess Diana is one of the most noteworthy, underappreciated parts of his life. At the age of 77, he confirms what everyone believed regarding Princess Diana. SD. Could you tell me what he said? What prompted him to finally speak up? We explore. Background. Elton, Sir Hercules. The music business will never be the same thanks to John, a famous British singer, songwriter, and pianist whose mesmerizing performances and groundbreaking compositions, especially in the 1,970 seconds, have endured. He had one of the most fruitful relationships ever with Bernie Taupin, a songwriter. After enrolling at London's Royal Academy of Music, Elton John took up the piano at a young age. In 1962, he formed the band Bluesology. In 1967, he decided to go solo and met Bernie Taupin. John founded the Elton John Band in 1969, and they released Empty Sky. The band had huge success in the 1,970 seconds with songs like Your Song. The 80 seconds and 90 seconds were more of the same for him, with contributions to both cinema and stage that included The Lion King. With Farewell Yellow Brick Road, his last tour, he achieved an all-time high in ticket sales. With the help of more than £300 million, John established the Elton John AIDS Foundation in 1992. He triumphed over his addiction and has been sober since 1990. He was the chair of Watford Football Club. In 2014, he tied the knot with David Furnish. There are more than 50 of Elton John's songs that have peaked at #1 on the UK singles chart or the US Billboard Hot 100. He has 9 #1 singles in the UK and 7 #1 albums in the US. He is one of the most successful musicians of all time, with record sales of over 300 million worldwide. He has more singles than any other artist in the history of the US Billboard charts. With over 33 million copies sold globally, his tribute track to Diana, Princess of Wales, Candle in the Wind, 1997, a reimagining of his 1,974 single, became the best-selling chart single of all time. By 2021, he had racked up 6 decades of top 10 songs in the UK on his own. Elton John has won a plethora of honors, including an Emmy, 5 Grammys, 2 Oscars, and a Tony. He is one of 19 performers to accomplish the EGOT. Among his many accolades are the Kennedy Center Honor, 2 Golden Globes, and a Laurence Olivier Award. Not only is he a fellow of the Ivors Academy, but he was also admitted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994 and the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1992. His many honors include membership in the Order of the Companions of Honor and the 1,998 Knight Bachelor for his contributions to music and philanthropy. In what ways did his musical career reflect his family's roots? We will discover the years that Elton John spent growing up. From a pinner to a prodigy, the legendary singer Elton John came into this world on the 25th of March, 1947, in the London district of Harrow, in the Middlesex town of Pinner. His given name was Reginald Kenneth Dwight. Stanley Dwight was the father of his sole child, Sheila Eileen, and he was the firstborn. John was brought up in a council house by his grandmother. His parents were married in 1945 and eventually settled into a semi-detached house close by. Before leaving Pinner County Grammar School at the age of 17, right before his A-level examinations, to pursue music, he went to Pinnerwood Junior School, Rediford School, and Pinner County Grammar School. John's father, a veteran of the Royal Air Force, wanted him to go into banking or some other traditional profession. John, on the other hand, rebelled against his rigid upbringing through his extravagant theatrical outfits and acts. His dad was a trumpet player with the Bob Miller Band, but both of his parents had musical talents. John was exposed to popular music since his family bought albums often. At the tender age of 7, John started practicing on his grandma's piano. and was able to perform entire songs by ear in just a year. At the age of 7, he began taking official piano instruction after playing at several gatherings. He showed off his musical abilities by writing songs and performing Jerry Lee Lewis impressions at school functions. He gained a junior scholarship at the Royal Academy of Music when he was 11 years old, impressing teachers with his ability to play back difficult compositions after only hearing them once. John went to the academy on Saturdays for 5 years, even though he wasn't very interested in classical music, and he enjoyed singing in the choir and playing Chopin and Bach. The fact that he frequently missed lessons in favor of using the London Underground shows how much he hated the academy. Regardless, he had a private tutor, and his teachers said he was a great student. Before completing his final examinations, he departed from the academy. Unlike his father, who was abroad for long periods, John was mostly nurtured by his energetic mother. John was distressed because his parents fought so much. When John was 14 years old, his parents split, and his mother remarried Fred Fairbrother, whom he fondly referred to as Durf. John created the songs that catapulted him to popularity in an apartment in Frome Court, where he and his family, encouraged by Fairbrother, settled in. From humble beginnings as a bar pianist to fame as a songwriter, he remained a resident there until 4 of his albums reached the top 40 inches the U.S. At the same time, Elton John started working as a pianist at the Northwood Hills Hotel, a local bar, where he played from Thursday to Sunday nights when he was 15 years old. With the help of his mother and stepfather, during this period, he went under the name Reggie and sang a wide range of popular classics, including songs written by Ray Charles and Jim Reeves, in addition to his tunes. He also had a more meaningful early musical experience as a member of the short-lived band the Corvettes. As a youngster, John began imitating his hero, Buddy Holly, by donning horn-rimmed spectacles. Even though he had normal eyesight, Bluesology was created in 1962 by John and a few buddies. He did errands for a music production firm during the day and performed alone and with Bluesology at a London hotel bar in the evenings. The Isley Brothers, Major Lance, Patti LaBelle, and the Bluebells were among the American soul and R&B musicians that Bluesology was supporting on tour by the mid-1960s. The band played 16 gigs at the Marquee Club in 1966 as Long John Baldry's backing band. John answered an ad that Liberty Records' A&R manager Ray Williams had posted in the British music publication New Musical Express in 1967. When they first met, Williams sent John an unopened package with Bernie Taupin's lyrics. Taupin had responded to the same ad. John began a collaboration with Taupin that is still going strong today when he sent back the music he had created for the lyrics. Scarecrow was their first joint recording session when they initially met in 1967. In recognition of fellow Bluesology members Elton Dean saxophonist and Long John Baldry, John took the stage name Elton John 6 months later. He became Elton Hercules John on the 7th of January 1972, the formal date of his name change. When Dick James founded DJM Records in 1968, John and Taupin were both hired as staff songwriters. They collaborated for 2 years, penning songs for Roger Cook, Lulu, and a host of other musicians. John would compose the music for each set in around 30 minutes after receiving a batch of lyrics from Taupin, who would compose them in under an hour. John would eliminate any lines that he could not instantly match to music. James promoted the 2-year session of easy listening music to performers. Their early work included the 1,969 Eurovision entry for Lulu, a song called I Can. Go On Living Without You that was meant to represent the United Kingdom. The song didn't make it past the 6th round of contestants. John contributed piano work to Roger Hodgson's 1969 song Mr. Boyd as part of the quartet Argosy. Elton John's incredible ascent from record label founder to international superstar. The Rocket Record Company, Elton John's label, was distributed in the U.S. by MCA, and, at first, by Island in the U.K. John contributed backup vocals on Bad Blood by Neil Sedaka, and he signed Kiki D an artist he had a personal connection to. He signed a $8 million deal with MCA rather than releasing his music through Rocket. Reportedly, MCA insured John's life for $25 million when this arrangement was concluded in 1974. The same year, MCA published Elton John's Greatest Hits, which became a smashing success in the United Kingdom and the United States. It went on to sell 17 million copies in the United States, earning it a diamond certification from the Recording Industry Association. John and John Lennon worked together in 1974 to cover Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles. The B-side of the track had John Lennon's song, One Day at a Time. For 2 weeks, this release topped the U.S. charts. From Lennon's album Walls and Bridges, the song Whatever Gets You Through the Night features John as a guest artist. They sang these songs and I saw her standing there at New York City's Madison Square Garden later that year, which was Lennon's last big live performance. By making this unusual performance, Lennon kept her pledge to perform alongside John if Whatever Gets You Through the Night became a #1 song in the United States. Caribou, John's 1974 album, became his third album to reach #1 in the United Kingdom and also topped the charts in the United States, Canada, and Australia. Hits including The Bitch Is Back and Dawn. Let the Sun Go Down on Me were included on the album, which was allegedly produced in just 2 weeks between live concerts. Included on the remastered album version from 1995, Step Into Christmas. First appeared as a single in November 1973. John was cast by Pete Townshend of The Who to portray a small-town boy in the 1975 film Tommy, which was based on the rock opera Tommy. The song Pinball Wizard was performed by John. With its driving chords, John's rendition peaked at #7 on the UK charts. John subsequently acknowledged Mark Bolan, a glam rock legend, as a major influence on his glam stage look. Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, an autobiographical record, became the first album in U.S. history to debut at #1 and stayed there for 7 weeks, featuring Bernie Taupin's lyrics that chronicle their humble beginnings as artists and musicians battling it out in London. The album unveiled John's individuality. Someone Saved My Life Tonight, John's breakout track, chronicles a watershed event in his life. After its release, Nigel Olsson and Dee Murray were fired from Elton John's band because the singer was disgruntled and overworked. John Reid, John's manager, told Circus Magazine that the decision was mutual and made over the phone when John was in Australia promoting Tommy. Caleb Key, Roger Pope, and Kenny Passarelli were all back for another round, while Ray Cooper and Davy Johnstone were still there. James Newton Howard stepped in as well, playing keyboards and arranging in the studio. John unveiled this lineup at London, England's Wembley Stadium in June 1975. Only Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy had ever debuted at #1 on the U.S. charts until the rock-oriented Rock of the Westies did so. Outfits like the Statue of Liberty, Donald Duck, and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart were now part of John's expensive stage wardrobe, which also featured ostrich feather costumes and $5,000 eyeglasses that lit up his name. The Hollywood Walk of Fame honored him with a star in 1975. Island Girl, his 6th #1 song in the United States, was featured on the album. 2 nights and 4 shows were played by John at the Troubadour in 1975 to commemorate 5 years since his initial appearance there. Because there was limited capacity, tickets were sold through a postcard lottery, and all attendees were given a hardcover yearbook chronicling the band's career. In the same year, he joined the ranks of the few white musicians to grace the African-American TV show Soul Train and contributed piano work to Kevin Ayers' Sweet Deceiver. A recipient of the Outstanding Rock Personality Award at the first Rock Music Awards in Santa Monica, California, John was honored on the 9th of August 1975. Here and There, a live album came out in May 1976, and Blue Moves, in October 1000, 976 album with the song Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word, came out in November. A duet with Kiki D, Dawn, T Go Breaking My Heart, was his 1,976 smash hit, topping the charts in 5 countries: the United Kingdom, the United States, Australia, France, and Canada. How did he manage to get his life back after battling substance abuse? Find out by continuing to watch Musician and Unfiltered Performer, A Journey Through His Career. By focusing on magnificent spectacle, Elton John hopes to make live rock and roll concerts unlike anything else. He thinks that concert goers have great expectations, and that to satisfy them, you must provide them with something very special. While speaking candidly, John addressed his remarks on Madonna's lip-syncing during concerts, which had caused controversy. People should expect genuine performances if they shell out big bucks for live performances, he said. John, despite the criticism, explained that his comment was an honest assessment and had no intention of slamming her as an artist. John, who is notoriously forthright, acknowledged that there are instances when it would be prudent to exercise restraint. Elton John has received both praise and criticism for his forthright personality throughout his career. However, he always manages to catch folks off guard. His most recent album, Peachtree Road, showcases a return to his origins as he and longtime collaborator Bernie Taupin write poignant songs at the piano. Critics have praised it as his finest work since the early 1970 seconds. As he reflected on their collaboration, John detailed the special rapport he has with Taupin, even though they write in a way that isn't typical. John and Taupin had never collaborated in the same room to write music. In contrast to well-known duos like Lennon and McCartney, their imaginative enchantment appears to be preserved by this separation. Elton John had sold 80 million albums by the time he was 29 years old. His personal life, however, was a disaster due to substance misuse and the after effects of his parents' nasty divorce, even if he had achieved spectacular success professionally. In the middle of all the mayhem, music became his sanctuary, providing him with joy and rest. He doesn't say his upbringing was bad, but he does say that music helped him cope with the pain that his family's hardships caused. Elton John, From Turbulence to Triumph. As a youngster, Elton John watched his parents fight, which left him with a lot of self-doubt and an aversion to confrontation. Looking back on his development, he realizes that he had to put in a lot of time and effort on his own to finally beat his addiction in 1990. Going to treatment or meetings wasn't the only thing. It required him to go on an introspective quest and acquire the ability to listen, something he had never possessed before since he was so sure of his knowledge. The common belief that artists utilize drugs to boost their performances is something that John has addressed. He made it clear that drugs have never helped him perform better. Cocaine and other drugs, on the other hand, made him anxious and stifled his imagination. John has managed to stay sober for more than 14 years despite all of these challenges. He has come out as homosexual and no longer hides his identity. He has even spoken out against the practice of creating music videos. Tantrums and Tiaras, a documentary made in 1997 by his boyfriend David Furnish, showed John's life in all its frankness. Every creative person has a monster inside of them, and the documentary showed the unedited, raw aspect of him. Although John has learned to rein in this aspect of his personality, he is aware that it is still there. John got into an argument with reporters at an airport in Taiwan, which made headlines. Unaware that his tantrum was being captured on camera, he exploded in anger as he was encircled by reporters. John maintains his stance, characterizing the media's conduct as impolite and disruptive. Notwithstanding the encounter, live performances by John are legendary. One of his most famous performances was at Princess Diana's burial, when he sang Candle in the Wind. His professional expertise helped him maintain his composure as he approached the performance with stoicism. John says he has grown tired of fame and no longer appreciates it. He used to love being in the limelight and would go to every event. But now that he's older, he sees things differently. Now that he's 57 years old, the allure of celebrity has faded, and he has nothing but contempt for the paparazzi, who harass and stalk celebrities without mercy. Having a bonding experience with Princess Diana and dancing with royals, it was 1981 when Elton John was already well known in royal circles, when he attended the 21st birthday celebration of Prince Andrew at Windsor Castle. He was a staple at private royal family gatherings, as the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret were longtime admirers of his music. John and drummer Ray Cooper were invited to perform at this specific function. When he got to the ballroom, he saw that the disco was rather quiet. Before he knew it, he was dancing to Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock alongside Queen Elizabeth II and Princess Anne, with the latter clutching her purse. I did my best to think of a facial expression that indicated this was a normal state of affairs, John writes, of the encounter in his 2019 autobiography, Me, John. Upon Princess Diana's arrival, the mood changed drastically. According to John, she has this remarkable talent for putting others at ease just by being around her. They hit it off the second she stepped foot in the ballroom that 1981 evening. They made fun of the disco's shortcomings while pretending to dance the Charleston. They became fast friends at this point, and their bond would see them through the highs and lows of their careers and lives. John thought Princess Diana was the most entertaining and delightful dinner guest ever in his reminiscences. She was someone he respected for being very forthright and indiscreet, someone who would tell a friend anything, and a true gossip. Their friendship flourished throughout the years as they helped each other and understood each other better. A schism in their friendship, the relationship between Princess Diana and Elton John. Many were enchanted by Princess Diana's irresistible aura, which Elton John acknowledged. However, her acts of kindness were where her real impact was seen. In his memoirs, he discusses how her powerful act of holding the hand of an AIDS sufferer at the London Middlesex Hospital affected him. According to his writing, that was Diana, highlighting how her acts altered public views about AIDS, even though she may not have meant to make a bold statement. A huge chasm sprang up between them, notwithstanding how close they were friends. This era, which began in 1997 with a coffee table book called Rock and Royalty, was characterized by Tina Brown of Vanity Fair as a deep freeze. Diana with her boys Prince William and Prince Harry were among the royal family members included in this Gianni Versace created effort benefiting the Elton John AIDS Foundation. Other shots showed semi-naked male models. After Diana initially consented to do the book's forward, she abruptly revoked her consent. Diana was anxious about upsetting the Queen, according to Brown. John, on the other hand, saw things differently. He recalled that when Gianni showed Diana the book, she had known exactly what it contained and had given her blessing. John, bewildered and irritated, tried to calm her down by informing her that the AIDS Foundation had lost money due to her withdrawal, and by insisting that she had enjoyed the book. To his astonishment and ire, the reply was a curt and stern letter written to Dear Mr. John. Although John was upset by the distant response from someone he thought of as a friend, his worries went beyond that. Since Diana appeared to be avoiding real friends who could be truthful with her in favor of those who would tell her exactly what she wanted to hear, he was concerned about her mental health. John saw this as a harmful habit based on his own experiences. Despite the conflict, John told CNN that misunderstandings like this may arise even among friends. Friends occasionally do stuff like this. The thing is, they just too damn proud to even pick up the phone. Healing through loss. Reinstatement of friendship between Elton John and Princess Diana. Prince Charles and Elton John were reunited after a tragic event, which was a great disappointment. Their common acquaintance, Gianni Versace, was assassinated in July 1997. John was shocked to get a call from Diana as word of the terrible news spread. Their recent acquisition of the Nice home caught him off guard, so he was taken aback by her ability to contact him. John remembers Diana being aboard Dodi Fade's boat in Saint-Tropez in his memoirs. She wanted to know how he was doing and whether he had talked to Donatella Versace before expressing her sympathies. She went on to add, "I am so sorry," recognizing their prior argument. A foolish quarrel ensued. We should be pals. At Versace's burial, Diana sat next to John, and their relationship healed. The now famous photo of Diana attempting to comfort John was shot by a photographer. John did, however, elaborate later on how the photo's setting was misleading. Instead of providing words of consolation, Diana reached past him to grab a mint from David Furnish. God, I love Apollo, were her precise words caught at that time, and they were amusing. Humor, an integral part of their connection, was still there even as they grieved. After making amends, the two began exchanging letters again. In response to John's letter of gratitude, Diana offered to become a patron for his charity. She was also associated with a landmine charity and asked him to become a sponsor. John recalled that they had planned to have lunch and talk about it the next time they were in London. Elton John's personal and advocacy journey. At the end of the 1,960 seconds, Elton John was engaged to Linda Woodrow, his first lover. Linda Woodrow was the one who provided financial assistance to both him and Bernie Taupin. The breakup of the relationship occurred 2 weeks before the couple's wedding. As Taupin and Long John Baldry had recommended, this information is included in the book, Someone Saved My Life Tonight. In 2020, John assisted Woodrow with his medical expenditures, even though they had not communicated for 50 years. In 1970, following the completion of his initial performances in the United States, John established a romantic involvement with John Reed, who was the manager of Tamla Motown in the United Kingdom. 5 years later, the partnership came to an end. Although Reed continued to manage John until the year 1998, the wedding took place on the 14th of February, 1984, in Sydney, Australia, and was attended by Renate Blauel, a recording engineer from Germany. John eventually admitted that he had been living a lie during their marriage, which ended in divorce in the year 1988. Blauel filed a lawsuit against John in 2020 for his memoirs. However, the issue was resolved in the same year. When John was interviewed by Rolling Stone in 1976, he came out as gay, then he came out as a bi. In 1992, during the year 1987, he prevailed in a libel action against The Sun, which had made inaccurate statements about his social life. John started a romantic connection with David Furnish in the year 1993. It was on December 21, 2005 that they entered into a civil partnership, and it was on the same day in 2014 that they tied the knot. Both of their kids, Zachary and Elijah, were born to them through the process of surrogacy. John, who has declared himself to be an atheist, has expressed his disapproval of organized religion, namely the viewpoint of the Catholic Church. It was in the year 2010 that he made the statement that Jesus was a loving and extremely knowledgeable gay guy, which sparked threats and controversy. In the beginning, John was in favor of civil partnerships, but he eventually became a supporter of St. B.H. marriage in the United Kingdom. He believed that this marriage better reflected his feelings for Furnish. In the year 2014, he stated that Jesus would have been in favor of the marriage of saints. You are appreciated for watching. Do not overlook the importance of liking the video, providing feedback, and subscribing to the channel. You should make it a point to watch another video that you find intriguing by clicking on the video that is now displayed on your screen. We will meet again on the other side. Elton John's poignant farewell to Princess Diana is a tribute to the tragic loss of Princess Diana. In the year 1997, on the 31st of August, Elton John was violently roused from his sleep by the sound of his fax machine. The words, "So sorry to hear about this awful news," were written in a handwritten note that was sent from a friend in London. As John switched on the television, he was overcome with confusion and was shocked to learn the awful news that his good friend Princess Diana had passed away as a result of a vehicle accident. John thought about the performance at a later time and described it as one of the most difficult experiences he has ever had in his life. He referred to it as the most important performance of my life, well aware that for those 4 minutes, he would be the center of attention for people all over the world. On the other hand, he highlighted that the performance was not about him directly. There was a chance to pay tribute to Diana. During the time that John was singing, he was able to see the legacy that Princess Diana had left behind in the faces of Harry and William, who were still little. He remembered how William and Harry appeared to be taken aback by the situation. Although they were just 15 and 12 years old at the time, they were still quite young. It was John's opinion that how they were handled was quite cruel. The boys were forced to travel through the streets of London behind the coffin of their mother, and it was expected of them that they would not experience any emotions and would keep their attention fixed on the road ahead. How John treated two children who had recently lost their mother was, in his opinion, abhorrent. The fact that Diana has two boys, William and Harry, continues to give Elton John a deep sense of connection to her relationship. In August 2019, John stated that Prince Harry's mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, was one of my closest friends. This came following a violation of Harry's privacy. A great feeling of responsibility compels me to shield Harry and his family from the unwarranted intrusion of the press, which was a contributing factor in the premature passing of Diana that occurred. The controversy that surrounded the tribute that Elton John paid to Princess Diana at her burial, even though it has been over 25 years since Princess Diana was tragically killed in a vehicle accident, fresh information continues to emerge on the circumstances that surrounded her life and the effects that her death has had. The performance of Candle in the Wind by Elton John, which was a song with lyrics that were specifically written to commemorate the late princess, was one of the most emotionally charged moments that occurred during her funeral arrangements. On the other hand, it has since come to light that the British royal family first sought to dissuade John from singing because they believed that the song would be too romantic for the occasion. Sky News was able to get documents from the National Archives of the United Kingdom, which revealed that Buckingham Palace had some reservations over the performance that was scheduled to take place. The reluctance of the royal family was so obvious that Westminster Abbey made arrangements for a saxophone to be on standby, ready to take over if John was not allowed to perform. To resolve this significant matter, Reverend Dr. Wesley Carr addressed a letter to a senior member of the royal household. In his letter, he emphasized the relevance of John's performance in the military and argued that it was necessary to take courageous action. He also emphasized the importance of John's efforts. He stated, "We ask for boldness at this crucial point in the service, which is a very important point. It is the place where the unexpected takes place, as well as something from the contemporary world of which the princess was a representation." It was Dr. Carr's firm belief that a traditional piece of classical music or choral music, even a well-known one composed by Lloyd Webber, would not be able to adequately represent the essence of Diana or the occasion. Furthermore, Dr. Carr supported Candle in the Wind by elaborating on the fact that Elton John was a character that was well known to millions of people, and that Princess Diana experienced a profound emotional response to his music throughout her lifetime. It was brought to his attention that John had written new lyrics for the song, which were being performed and sung all across the country as a way of paying respect to Diana during this time. The fact that he is constantly being played on the radio, as Dr. Carr pointed out, is evidence of the song's ubiquitous existence in the collective consciousness of the nation. In the letter that he sent, Dr. Carr claimed that allowing Elton John to play would not only be a way to respect Diana's legacy, but would also be a creative and generous gesture for the many people who are mourning her loss. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next videos. Put your in the comment section and hit that subscribe button for all the latest videos.